Has a patient ever been forgotten in an exam room? I was a recovering addict, clean for 3 years, when this sharp stabbing pain in my side wouldn't let me sleep for days. I tried everything. Hot showers, pain meds from when I broke my wrist last year, even sleeping sitting up. Nothing worked. Finally, at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, I drove myself to the ER. I brought my 3-year recovery badge on my keychain, figuring I'd show them up front so they knew I wasn't there hunting for pills. Big mistake. The moment I walked up to the check-in desk and said, "I have severe pain in my side," this nurse barely looked up from her computer. She saw my torn jeans, my beat-up sneakers, heard the word pain, and I watched her type something. Later, I found out she wrote possible drug-seeking behavior in big red letters on my chart. They gave me a thin plastic wristband and told me to wait in exam room 9. The room was freezing cold, with one of those crinkly paper gowns that barely covered anything. I sat on that metal table, feet dangling like a little kid, waiting for someone to come check on me. 1 hour passed, then 2. The pain was getting worse, like someone was twisting a knife in my ribs. I knocked on the door. No answer. I pressed the call button. Nothing happened. I could hear nurses walking by in the hallway, but nobody stopped. By hour 3, I started getting worried. I knocked harder and called out, "Hello? Can someone please check on me?" Some guy in scrubs walked by and said through the door, "Doctor's busy, just sit tight." Hour 4 rolled around and I was getting desperate. The pain was so bad I was sweating even though the room was freezing. I started yelling louder. "Hello? I've been in here for 4 hours!" Still nothing. No chart updates, no nurse visits, nothing. The trash can still had the same crumpled tissues from whoever was in here before me. Around 6 a.m., this cleaning lady opened the door with her cart and literally jumped backward when she saw me. "Oh my God, you've been in here all night?" she said, dropping her spray bottle. I nodded, barely able to speak because the pain was so intense. She ran out and came back with a nurse I'd never seen before. Turns out it was the morning shift, and they had no idea I existed. The check-in nurse from the night before had never actually entered me into the system properly. Since I didn't make a scene or try to leave, everyone just assumed I'd been discharged or walked out on my own. I'd been completely forgotten. When a new doctor finally saw me around 7 a.m., he took one look at my pale, sweaty face and ordered immediate imaging. The CT scan showed my appendix had ruptured hours ago. All that time I was sitting there begging for help. Poison was spreading through my body. They rushed me into emergency surgery, but I was already in septic shock. My blood pressure dropped so low they had to use machines to keep my heart beating. The surgeon told me later that if I'd waited another hour, I probably would have died on that exam table. Recovery took 2 full weeks. I had 3 different surgeries, spent days in intensive care, and nearly lost my life because someone looked at me and decided I was just another junkie looking for a fix. A patient advocate came to apologize and talk about lawsuits, but honestly, I didn't care about money. All I told her was, if I had died in that room, just make sure nobody else gets treated like trash because of who they used to be. The hospital held this big internal meeting about my case. That nurse who wrote drug seeking on my chart quietly resigned the next week. They changed their whole protocol for checking on patients.